June 4th Architecture Review Board meeting. Can we have a roll call, please?
Recording in progress.
Good morning. Welcome to the June 4th Architecture Review Board meeting. Can we have a roll call, please?
Chair Adcock.
Present.
Vice Chair Rosenberg.
Present.
Board Member Jojar.
Present.
Board Member Hirsch.
Present.
Board Member Chan is absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you.
If I can just take 30 seconds, I'd love to welcome our new chair, and we're excited to having you lead us for the remaining year.
Thank you. All right, next is agenda changes and deletions. Stephen, anything changes today?
No changes are planned for today.
Thank you. Next is in-person comments. This time for anyone in the chamber who wishes to speak on an item that is not on the agenda. For anyone joining us virtually, you'll have time at the end of the meeting to speak on any non-agendized items. Do we have any requests to speak?
No, we do not have any requests to speak at the moment.
Thank you. All right, then we'll move on to city official reports.
All right, well, good morning and welcome to our first June meeting. Let me share my screen here. So as for upcoming meetings, that June 18th meeting is canceled due to a lack of quorum, and we did not receive any new architectural review board projects since the last meeting. I did just want to note that last night we had two items that went before the Economic Development Committee meeting. It's council committee. That one is the shrink wrap, which was affecting the downtown properties, as well as the economic vitality, the retail ordinance as well. So some changes are forthcoming with that. And if there are any other absences, please direct that to staff's attention and we'll make note of that. And again, that second meeting of this month is canceled. And with that, I can entertain any questions.
Do we have any questions for the staff? All right, thank you. So next we will move on to our first agendized item. Did you have a comment? Oh, go ahead.
So before we start considering the first agenda item, I need to disclose that I have a conflict of interest in the area of that property, and therefore I will not participate in the conversation, and I will also leave the chambers and come back when we are ready for the following item.
Thank you. All right. Our first item is a public hearing quasi-judicial for 375 Hamilton Avenue. Request for recommendation on an architecture review application for construction of a new 6-story parking garage with 266 parking spaces replacing existing parking lot D. CEQA status is that an addendum to the previously certified downtown parking garage environmental impact report has been prepared, and this is zoning district PF. So I forget, do we do disclosures or, yes, any disclosures?
I disclosed that I visited the site, and just out of curiosity, this is the second time we are seeing this project, correct?
Correct.
Not the third, just second.
Second.
Thank you.
No disclosures.
All right, I have visited the site, that's my only disclosure. So the recommendation from staff is to consider the addendum to the previously certified downtown parking garage environmental impact report and recommend approval of the proposed project to the City Council based on findings and subject to conditions of approval in the record of land use action. So with that, shall we start staff presentation?
Sure. Good morning. My name is Christina Dobkevicius. I'm the associate planner with the city. And I'm here today to present the city's parking garage. This is the second time you're seeing the project. We had a study session this year, and this time we're asking for a formal recommendation. A little bit about the site. The project site is zoned as public facility, and allowed uses within the zone district include public facilities that are used, owned, leased by the city of Palo Alto. And both the parking garage and any future affordable housing on the site are permitted uses, so long as the site continues to be owned and leased by the city of Palo Alto. Downtown Parking Garage project was first introduced in the city's council infrastructure plan as a city's broader effort to improve downtown parking. Proposed design is based on the city council's chosen option 1A, and that option was improved after the initial ARB hearing back in December 2025. The option that ARB members from three options that were presented, this design is based on the two that ARB preferred the most. The subject application is a request for a major architectural review for a proposed 6-story parking garage, with 266 parking spaces. The surface lot is currently used as a surface parking lot with 86 parking spaces. In December 2023, Council directed staff to resume work on the parking garage with the aim to integrate it with the future affordable housing. City Council certified environmental impact report back in 2019. The proposed project today exceeds allowable height, floor area, and setbacks, including a 7-foot special setback on Hamilton Avenue. However, in accordance with Palo Alto Municipal Section 18.28.060E, on sites within the downtown district where the primary use is a parking garage, Council can modify the development standards. This slide shows proposed ground floor and street-facing elevations. Vehicular access is proposed via the combined entrance and exit on Hamilton Avenue. There is existing one-way service lane, lane 21, at the back of the site. This will be maintained and retained, enhanced with architectural paving, landscaping, and lighting. Proposed trash rooms, electrical rooms are strategically located along that area as well. And this project includes provisions for trash and recycling for both the subject site, plaza, as well as the neighboring property on at lot 85. That's lot that currently has a restaurant next door. Design incorporates articulated facades with high-quality materials, screening elements to break up the massing, enhance the visual interest. It's consistent with the downtown urban design guidelines, emphasizes human scale and architectural quality. There's also public plaza proposed along the right side of the parking garage, part of the same property. It incorporates brick paving, ornamental planting, and string lighting to enhance and activate the outdoor space. It will function as a small park until the affordable housing project is realized. At its December 4, 2025 study session, ARB provided preliminary feedback on the proposed project, identifying key areas for further refinement. Since that time, the project has been revised in response to board's comments, and staff found the project to be consistent with both the findings, downtown urban design guidelines, and public facility zoning requirements. Staff's recommendation for today's ARB hearing is to consider the addendum for the environmental report and also recommend this project to move to approval to the City Council with anticipated date in September this year. Thank you. This concludes my presentation. We also have applicant's presentation as well, and I'm here to help with any questions. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for the staff?
I have just a quick one in terms of timeline. So looking on packet page 11, it says that they sort of, if I'm understanding this correctly, they started this project in December 12th, 2016. So it is now 2026? I'm just want to make sure that I'm following this timeline here properly. They
Yes.
started a parking garage 10 years ago.
Yes. Good morning. My name is Holly Boyd. I'm the Assistant Public Works Director. Yes, to answer your question, Board Member, this project was started and awarded a contract with Watry back in 2015 for design. We got all the way through the approval or certification of the EIR and approval of planning entitlements and council February 2019, where this project was stopped and put on hold due to lack of interest and funding. So
there was a gap in the middle.
there was a gap. So in 2025, we went to council with a new contract. I actually think this late 2024, we had a new contract with Watry. Went to council with various options, including area to be set aside for future future affordable housing. And they approved the option 1A, which included a 6-story parking garage and the area set aside on the corner of Hamilton and Waverly. So here we are.
Okay, now I just want to clarify. So basically started in 2016, paused in 2019, and then sort of revived in 2025. Is that about right?
That's correct.
Okay, thanks very much.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
On the garbage removal that you've mentioned there, it's for the restaurant, the other commercial facilities that are there will take care of their own garbage. It would seem that somehow they have to, how does that relate actually to the building itself now? Because we have a public building. Is it going to be the location for a private commercial?
Yes, so the properties along Waverly, all of them have areas that are used for their own refuse, garbage and oil separators on their own property, except for Lot 85, which is currently using the parking lot.
Parking lot, right.
So the city plans to enter into agreement with the property owner and the property and business owner to
With the city.
accommodate their refuse in our garage.
Right. Do they pay for that, or is it?
Yes, there will
do?
be some kind of payment.
Okay.
We haven't started discussions
Yeah,
with them.
it's in the future,
However,
yeah.
we've done this in previous parking garages. I believe Lot R, the Alma Street garage, has this set up. So we did that like 20 years ago. So I imagine we're going to follow some sort of precedent.
I see. Okay, that's fine.
I guess follow-up question on that, and I can't recall from the last presentation if that trash area in the garage is also intended for the future housing? Or is this just for the garage cleanup and all that stuff?
It's just for the garage in Lot 85. The future affordable housing will have to accommodate their own refuse area.
I have a sort of a follow-up question. You know, the future use of the corner as affordable housing, does anybody know whether it's been studied? Because after all, the construction might have some underground issues relative to the garage, and just how is that going to be handled? And in fact, how is the design of it going to be handled relative to what we're going to discuss today?
Right, so in 2025, we worked with our consultant, Watry, and our architect, the Hayes Group, to come up with some preliminary feasible sketches of what affordable housing could look like there. We also talked to one of our affordable housing partners, Alta, and just kind of gut check to see if what we were planning, what we anticipated going there was feasible. They said it was, and any utilities, anything like that would need to come off the corner of Hamilton and Waverly. I'm sure Ken, our architect, could provide more response to that, and either during his presentation or in the answer to the question.
Yeah,
Okay.
sort of, yeah.
Thank you. Then let's move on to applicant presentation. You'll have 10 minutes, and please state and spell your name, please.
Oh, someone else is sharing. I want to share, yeah. Sorry, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I want to control it. Do I need to try it again? We're good? Oh. Yeah, okay. Good morning, Chair Adcock. Congratulations on the promotion. Good to see you all again, board members. My name's Ken Hayes, Kenhayes with Hayes Group Architects. Joined today by architect of record, Watry Design, Merrill Morris, the landscape architects, WSP Environmental Consultants, and I believe BKF. Only Watry is here. Everyone else is on Zoom. So if you have questions related to any of those areas, we have the ability to answer them. I'd like to thank Public Works, Ms. Boyd and Ms. Hsu, as well as Planner Dobakavicius, for helping us get the application to you. So when we were here in December, the board expressed general support for the project along with some questions and design preferences. So since then, we've been developing the project. Just a refresher, the site is a 2/3 acre corner parcel at Waverly and Hamilton. It's currently used as Lot D with 86 cars. The property is zoned PF Public Facilities. Surrounding properties are CDC, GF Pedestrian and Public Facilities. Neighboring historic resources in the light green include across Hamilton, the post office, the Category 1, down Waverly, the former Palo Alto Toy and Sport, which was recently restored, Category 2, Decker House, a Category 2, and then on the corner of University is the Decker Oaks building, which is a Category 3. There's a one-way alley, lane 21 at the rear from Waverly to Bryant, and some contextual views of the post office with the terracotta roof, the black wrought iron, and the tan colored walls. We have the former Taipei restaurant there, which we're sharing the trash enclosure with, and the prolific oven, and then there's the Palo Alto Toy and Sport the building to the right of that. And then if you look at it from Hamilton, on the left is the part of the AT&T building, very tall building, the side of the Taipei with the parking lot in front, and then the Porting Place Concrete All Saints Church on the right. The program for the garage is 6 levels of parking for 266 cars, a 4,000 approximately square foot space for future low-income housing, and we're treating it as a simple, flexible plaza at this point. Bike parking for 42 bikes, a trash enclosure that will be shared with Taipei, as we said. We're going to be collaborating. We have been collaborating with the Public Art Program and Amy Landisberg, and the area that's highlighted in red is where the public art will be, and I'll show you where that is on the elevation when we get there. And then there's a future rooftop solar array for PV panels, and those are future. The site and design constraints, we have a 0 setback against AT&T, and then at the alley, we have 16 feet to the building, but 9.5 feet to the planter. There's plenty of room to get in and out there. We have the 10-foot setback at the Paseo so that we can have unprotected openings. And at the front, we're removing the special 7-foot setback, and we're going to have a 2-foot setback, and then we're moving the curb line, so we end up with a 12-foot sidewalk. The program for the parking, double-loaded parking, is 60 feet on each leg, and we have 20% open area of wall area required for 40% of the perimeter. And we've got landscape zones for planting and benches and pedestrians, auto access on the the west end on Hamilton, and then bike and pedestrian access at these, or bicycle access rather, at these 2 locations. Doesn't mean you can't come in another entrance as well with a bike, but then these are the pedestrian entrances along Hamilton, 2 primary, and then we have at the end of the Paseo, we have an entry there, and then there's some minor entries off of Hamilton to get into some of the handicap, the accessible spaces. Vertical circulation occurs at the end of the Paseo, where we have an elevator and the main stair, and then on the east end at Hamilton, next to the public, the open space, we have the feature stair located. And then there's the open space at the corner. So when we were here in December last year, we had 3 options. On the left, our left column are the the Hamilton options. On the right are the Waverly options. At the time, option 1's on the top, 3 on the bottom. You preferred option 2 and 3 on the left column for the Hamilton, and we preferred option 3 on the Waverly side. And so we prefer option 2 as opposed to option 3 on the Hamilton side, which is why we've circled that, and we've developed that for you today. Basically, the Hamilton facade has a strong horizontal canopy that defines the pedestrian zone, kind of anchors the building, where we have integral planters, there's wooden benches along there. It just kind of defines this pedestrian area. And then the building is organized into these solid and voids with the perforated metal, the metal screens, and solid walls in order to create a syncopation kind of along the street and a rhythm to create facade interest. And there's plenty of depth in and out on the facade as you move down. The west end is the auto entry, the larger opening, and then to the left of that is a pedestrian entry. On the right-hand side is the feature stair. And the idea is we use the perforated metal where we are trying to get people to kind of come into the building, whether it's the auto entrance or the feature stair. The building's terminated at the top with a strong horizontal structure that is part of the current plan, and only the photovoltaic arrays would be considered future up there. And then the public art that we're working with Ms. Landesberg on would occur here, and it's a public art piece has already gone to the Public Art Commission, and it features metal sculpture of kind of laser cut or cut metal featuring local plants in the area, and that will consume that entire concrete block in the center. These are just elevations. The miscellaneous on the upper left would be the return wall of the western pedestrian entrance. So you see the perforated metal return there. The view to the right, top right, would be the Paseo looking east, where we have grapevines that kind of crawl up the side of the building. The bike access to the bike storage is there at the lower left. And then the 2 elevations at the bottom, the one on the right would be at the end of the Paseo, and so that's the alley that has the main elevator and, again, a stair that allows you to circulate above. Material palette, board form concrete near the base of the building defines the planters. smooth form concrete, elsewhere integrally colored. We have wood benches on the ground floor, black or bronze painted metal flat bar for railings and at the grills that occur on the facade. And the idea there is we're trying to pick up on some of the wrought iron and then with the metal fins and the perf metal, pick up on the colors that you might find in the sienna or terracotta tile on the post office. And some views of the building from the corner. This is probably the most accurate in terms of color. I'm not sure why. They tend to, the color changes from view to view. This is the plaza with the perf metal in the corner, and then on the rear, we have the horizontal flat bar to allow ventilation in the garage and just kind of break down that concrete wall that has a pattern of horizontal and vertical reveals. Some close-up views on the left will be looking down the paseo. The bike storage is the first opening on the left, and at the end of the paseo would be the perf metal identifying the main or an entrance to the vertical circulation, which is then shown on the right. And so if you go in there, it's kind of the public lobby. On the left would be the west end on Hamilton, where there's a planter, some wood benches. That's a pedestrian and bicycle entry to the garage, and then the feature corner stair on the right with the black metal flat bar stair. So this is day one. I'll try my best here at the landscape since how much time do I have? Oh, I don't have any more time. Oh, the landscape is always left out.
We'll give you 1 more minute.
Okay, great. So the concept for the plaza is to kind of keep it simple, flexible space. We have concrete planks, basically, that form the planters on each side of the two planted areas there. And there's a combination of new ginkgo and oak trees along the street frontage. Brick paving identifies the paseo and the alley behind the Waverly Street buildings. There's a privacy fence that runs the whole length here that kind of hides the back of these buildings so that the alley has a nicer appearance. That was one of your questions at the last hearing. And then we have string lights that help kind of define the space overhead that also continues down the paseo where we have these festooned lights that are above you to help kind of define and light the space. The plant materials are shown here, lots of color, some sedges, some yarrow, some primrose, and the ferns. The fence example is there on the left, and then the pavers on the far left. And again, picking up that kind of terracotta quality of the building. This shows you some of the site elements of the concrete plank benches that define the planters there on either side, shown in the center. So I am happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I think next is, are questions or public comments? I think public comments.
Oh, right, public comments.
Yes. Do we have any requests to speak?
We have one request to speak on this item. First person is Herb Borak.
Please state and spell your name, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Herb, H-E-R-B, Borak, B as in boy, O-R-O-C-K. Chair Adcock, Vice Chair Rosenberg, and Commissioner Hirsch. This project implements an item in the comprehensive plan that when parking spaces are removed some purpose from a lot, they need to be provided someplace else. And although that general idea has received planning approval, when a specific project comes up, as in this case, where Lot T, as in Tom, on Linton Avenue, would be project is proposed to lose 52 spaces. This project is designed to provide spaces for those 52. And I believe under the Environmental Quality Act that those two things together are one project, that it's inappropriate to be discussing and writing approvals and recommendations on each of those two parking lots separately. There is also the question of, a challenge of whether you can even have housing which would provide more land for the same number of net parking spaces, which would be a different structure. There used to be a public bathroom self-cleaning toilet at the corner of the lot of where the proposed housing would be, and I believe that, for pedestrian uses, which is very heavy in the area, that needs to be replaced as part of the project. Initially, you have that corner available, but in the future, if and when the affordable housing is built, you would have to find a specific location. The pedestrian, access for pedestrians and bicyclists, one way would be from the intersection of Gilman and Waverly, and it seems to be whoever is changing signal cycle times, whether they depend upon a demand response from traffic on Gilman or whether they cycle automatically after, say, a pedestrian signal is used to cross Gilman or traffic goes away from Waverly. I don't know, but it seems to change from time to time, and it could be related to the use of pedestrians and cyclists going to the garage or crossing the street, and you should make that part of your approval as to what it would be, and also to come back if transportation wants to change those in any way in the future. So I think for those reasons, it'd be difficult to make a recommendation on this project separately at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the public speaker? No? All right. Does the applicant want to rebut any of the public comment? I'm sorry? Yeah, does the city have any responses?
Sure, I can respond to that. Just want to note that it's not legally required, though we do desire and plan to replace the parking, it's not legally required, and both of these projects have independent utility and therefore are not required to be analyzed, in conjunction with each other under CEQA and are being analyzed separately.
Thank you. All right, with that, we will, no more public comments, right? Yeah, okay.
That's correct.
We'll go to questions for the applicant. Do you have any questions?
I have 3. In response to the public comment, there's no bathroom facility associated with this project, correct? And there's not need to be required to be one either, is that correct? Okay. Number 2, ginkgo trees. Which kind of ginkgo trees? I asked that because there's one version that's a little bit more smelly than the others.
Oh,
I want
I
to
got
make
you.
sure that
Right,
we're doing the gentle kind, please.
It's the street tree kind. Maybe
Okay.
John Potus, who's online, can tell us.
Yeah, the stinky kind is the female version. The fruit smells like vomit.
Yeah, that.
And pretty rare that you get one. But if that does happen, we would just simply replace the tree with a proper tree.
Perfect, thank you
You
very
have to
much.
wait till it fruits sometimes if they
Okay, so
mix it up.
making sure these are male ginkgo trees, great.
Yeah,
And then also for the landscape architect, I believe, there's the flat facade looking at Waverly that's mostly the smooth concrete. There's that triangular planting space below it. Is there any desire to put sort of a climbing vine in the meantime, like understanding that there will be a future potential project here, but in the meantime, that is sort of a large stretch of concrete. It might be nice to have just some greenery climbing the face. So has that something that's been considered or analyzed in any way?
Yeah, that is what is proposed. We propose to have climbing vines.
Excellent. I didn't see it in the renderings, which is why I asked.
Yeah.
All right, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Any questions, David?
Yeah. I know there's numerous access to this property here, but the major one is on the corner. Would you say that will be the major entry for the building?
Yeah, I mean, I would think that we tried to make that the major entry and the gesture to
I'm
the
sorry, I'm
post
not
office.
getting your sound.
Oh, can you hear me?
Better when you're closer
Yeah,
there.
okay, yep, no problem. So, Board Member Hirsch, yes, I consider that the main pedestrian entry for those that don't need to take the elevator, right? It's probably going to be more fun to come down the stair, because as you come down the stair, the post office will be there, kind of revealed in front of you, but it's a main entrance. The Paseo is more,
Yeah, on the rear passage, the Paseo, as you call it, as it turns the corner and heads for CVS.
yep,
Things have changed a bit. The CVS back door is closed. There's no particular need for access to CVS anymore in that area. So I'm wondering, is it you've kept a certain distance there, probably for some of the garbage removal issues?
exactly. Plus, yeah, and I mean, the alley system in Palo Alto is very cool, I think. And so trying to enhance the alley to allow for access for people that are cutting through, and who knows what might happen at CVS in the future. But it's also there we have to be at least 10 feet to be able to get our unprotected openings for the ventilation, so we don't have to put a ventilation system in the garage. But the 16 feet allows us to, I think, also create not only pedestrian access, but also gets our stormwater treatment area
I see.
taken care
Okay,
of
yeah.
in that area.
And I would also like to note that there's private parking behind AT&T's building that we need to maintain access for.
I'm sorry, is private parking where?
Behind the existing AT&T building next to our property that we need to maintain access for.
A pedestrian access that would have been
No,
through the
car
lot?
access, vehicle
Car
access.
Oh, but that's going to be at the rear of the building.
Yes.
Yeah. There's none of that relative to these pedestrian ways here at all.
No.
Okay, I was just really wondering if there's any flexibility in the width of that, so it's a drainage issue, or is it important there?
Yeah, so what, 6.5 feet is drainage planters, basically, raised planters for stormwater treatment.
Okay,
And the trash is picked up also from that side of the alley, or from that alley.
I'm sorry, the garbage.
The trash enclosure.
Trash enclosure would be from the rear of the building, no?
At the rear, but I believe because of transformers and switches that are above grade at the very rear of the building, the trash enclosure has doors that open to the alley.
Towards the alley, yeah.
Right. But we don't envision, the green waste trucks coming down the alley.
I was wondering, just in general thinking here between yourself and the future housing issue, you have made a significant effort to have the end of the vehicular way. You didn't mention it as a design feature, but your ends are open and light-filled from the perimeter surfacing. So is there some way in which you're going to, as the future, considering the future housing, maintain some kind of light consistency there?
Well, so the portion of the wall, so the perforated metal stair at the front, the housing does not come proud of that, all right? So wherever the wall of the housing is defined, it's from the edge of that front perf metal between there and the solid wall of the building that you see here. However, the back portion of the building where we have the metal work along the Paseo there, the flat bar, That will need to be filled in when the housing is proposed or built next door, because that becomes a firewall, essentially. So,
But, so if there were some kind of an easement at that point, a relationship to the housing, if the housing were separated by a light well of some sort with an easement, you might be able to keep that feature.
there's all kinds of ways you could keep it. It's really a matter of how desirable the site remains for, getting a reasonable yield on the housing.
On the housing.
Yeah, I think we had 5 floors of 3 units on each floor. I think we had 15 units in the massing diagram. So if you had that carved out at the back, in order to have an unprotected opening, the housing would have to have a solid wall facing this metalwork, yeah.
Unless it were kept separated by a light well of some sort?
If it was a light well, the housing wall that faces this would need to be 10 feet.
To be
Right,
solid.
solid, and then this could be open, and there'd be a 10-foot
Okay.
light well.
So I was wondering, in the thinking, maybe there's a way in which when you provide some kind of, I don't know how, coordination with the future housing, that you could maintain that feature, because it's a very nice feature.
That would be great.
I think you should not forget the fact that you have that. At the very end of the building facing the back of CVS, you also have that feature.
Correct, yeah, right. So you'd see it repeat, right?
Yeah. I think that's all for the moment, yeah.
Okay.
And I'll ask a follow-up question on that. So just to clarify that this metal screen on the right,
Yep,
if the housing perimeter wall is 10 feet away, then the housing cannot have any windows facing that, correct?
that's right. Well, I
would
mean,
have-
they'd have,
Or
they couldn't have
fire-rated
traditional
windows,
windows,
yeah.
right?
They would have to go another 10 feet before it can get any windows.
Oh.
So it'd be a choice in the future of whether the garage gets light or the housing
Or the
gets
housing gets-
windows.
Right, but we had that in our initial studies that we showed council. It was all circulation along that side anyway, elevator, 2 stairs, and there were some mechanical spaces and so on. So the housing was oriented towards Waverly, towards the Paseo, and towards Hamilton for all that's light and air.
And- I'm sorry.
If I could come back on that a little bit, it seems to me that, for our sake, to consider the fact that really the corner of your garage should be seen. It's really an important visual. It would seem to me that we should be seeing something about, I feel like it's kind of lacking. Is my voice coming through okay to you?
Yep.
But it's lacking that we should really have seen at least a sketch with some suggestions of how the housing could work relative to the garage, so that we know what we're approving that's a future piece of architecture in the city here.
That's a
Certainly,
question for the city then.
Certainly the housing
I mean,
is something we would like to see.
yeah, so in your packet, you've probably, at the end, stumbled across there's a couple pages that show what the future housing massing might be.
Yeah, sheet 3.13 in the larger packet.
Yeah, and 1, 2,
And 3.12.
yeah. And
I think there were sort of ghostly images
Yes,
there,
yes.
yeah,
It wasn't a very specific, but, in a way, I would almost be more interested to see setback lines and visual description of how we will see the garage relative to the massing, and the thought of a light well or some means of separation, if that's possible, in the planning, of the housing.
well, I mean, if we have a firewall at the edge of the garage, which is the solid wall, let's say, you could do anything you want on the housing side of it. I mean, you could have a skylight up there that washes that wall with light, and then the housing would be, on the other side of that, so the housing could have the circulation kind of awash in light, but it's, you don't find that a whole lot in low-income housing.
No, you don't, but it certainly is a possibility. I mean, if it worked out with a plan that there was just an areaway without a skylight, so there's no connection between the buildings at that point, and in some form of easement that allows that to remain for the sake of the garage, I think it's a feature that I would like to see continued.
Right. It's going to remain one property, correct? Will it remain one, it's one property, right? Or are we going to actually subdivide?
I'm actually not sure on that.
Okay.
I mean, council's direction to us was to reserve an area for future housing and move forward with this garage. That is their verbatim wording, so not a lot of detail there.
And for clarification, there's no timeline for that housing project. There's nothing on the agenda, nothing on the boards. They have not been paid or asked to design that yet. So it's just everything that they've provided is purely
That's correct.
as a benefit for us to imagine what could be there, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
It's a blank slate.
So, follow-up question on that is, so the garage would continue to be city-owned, and the property, when it gets developed as housing, would be a city-owned building that would be rental property. Is that how the council is thinking about it?
I'm not even sure that's true. I think we would somehow provide a lease. We would own the land, but not the building. Similar to
So
what's
like a
happening
ground
with
lease.
We do
Lot
ground
T.
leases for city property.
Ground lease,
Yeah.
Okay.
100-year lease or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so I have a few questions if you're.
Go ahead.
David?
Yeah,
All right. So on the, I think in that ghost image, it was kind of shown that the housing would, sorry. Yeah, you can go to that. Perfect. Thank you. So this notches back. So in your pedestrian diagram, you had kind of, because your stair angles out, your pedestrian access is kind of angled into the housing property rectangle, the 4,000 square feet. So I guess the question is, if it's a small triangle, but if it's ground lease, then that walkway would require to be maintained by the design and ownership of the next. Is that at all concern?
Is that a concern?
Yeah.
Well, it's a concern that whatever housing project is developed there takes that into consideration as a site constraint. Yes. What you're looking at right here, we've kind of created that notch in this option, and you'd come down the stair, we'd have the notch between the two buildings, so from a fire standpoint, we're good. And then we're trying to kind of create an open space under this cantilevered portion of the housing. So it still responds to pedestrian access in and out there, but it would also be a way to also address the fire separation issue. The other option, and these are not, they're not options that have been presented to anybody, okay? This would be completely set back. So this would set back 10, 15 feet to allow the corner of the garage to be exposed. This one leaves the facade back on that left-hand portion, but cantilevers the housing portion closer to the corner, and to get more floor area for the housing. But it doesn't do it at the ground level. It keeps it open for pedestrians, is what we were thinking. I think both could work.
Just because we're relying on the unknown of the future housing, and the kind of splaying out of the stair is nice, but did you already consider whether, like, you leave a 5-foot or so walkway within this garage's rectangle instead of your pedestrian walkway diagram going into the rectangle for that future housing? I think it was one of your early slides.
Am I still sharing?
Yes.
Am I lost? Okay. Yes, so that would, the stair will either need to pull back if we strike a line in line with the solid vertical wall defining the plaza and the garage. But I believe
I think a couple
that
of
may already be
images
pulled
later, you
back.
have a diagram that shows pedestrian. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So that space is open in both those housing options that I showed. And so, along the lines of Board Member Hirsch saying that there might need to be some kind of an easement at that location to allow pedestrian access, or we pull the stair back. I actually think the stair has been pulled back. There's 5 feet, right?
I was going to actually point out that on the large packet on sheet 4.1 that shows sort of the landscaping diagram, and it might be in your presentation there, the stair looks much skinnier at the base and with ample space to walk past it without ever imposing on that plaza. So it might be worth taking a look at that and just understanding which, there, right there, that one.
Correct.
So in this area, hang on, I don't have my pen on. Again, so in this area here, you can clearly see that there's plenty of space
Right.
to walk past. So
Right.
the question
There
would be, which is it going to be? One of them clearly has an issue that Board Member
Right.
Wooster
One.
pointed out.
Yeah, so one would need to be coordinated with whatever future housing goes there, or we ignore that and make this self-sufficient, which is probably the preference of the city. And I can't answer the question why our plan doesn't match that, but I do remember the discussion. Yeah, Gordon?
Sorry, my name's Gordon Knowles. I'm with Watery Design. We're the structural engineers and parking architects. What you're seeing here on the landscape design was a slightly earlier version of that stair where we did study the 5-foot rotation opening for the stair. The architectural plans and the renderings you're seeing shows a kind of wider flare and a kind of grander stair, which I think was our takeaway when we were looking at that opening from the previous ARB, the informal review. We were talking about trying to keep that corner as open and as grand as possible. So that stair flexed, and as Ken was saying, would require some sort of easement to allow the pedestrian area to open up on that corner. I think what we heard last time was the concern that if we do close off and pull the residential right to the building line there, we create quite a tight pedestrian exit. And what we were seeing is we've got a grand gesture with the cladding and a grand gesture with the stair. So with the addition of that easement, you keep a kind of pedestrian plaza at the end. We can narrow the stair, so it's more of a typical width. We've got all the width we need for escape. The extra flare is really kind of a design and urban impact. So what you're seeing here is kind of that answers your question of what we would do if we needed that entrance and we needed to keep that property line. We're restricted on moving the stair too far back because we obviously have a drive aisle on the upper levels, and as we move that back, it moves the circulation into what's quite a tight parking plan above.
Thank you. I have another question, which has to do with the PV canopy. Either one of you wants to respond on it. On the renders, it looks like the top is solid at the PV canopy, like the one on the right on the cover.
Correct.
Is that the future PV?
That would be the PV, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So without the PV, is it just the beams
Open.
that we see in the renders?
Correct. The structure is part of the scope.
Okay. But it's pretty open, there's no like a trellis or anything in its place?
No.
And a question related to that is, you said the PV is future, so it's kind of future ready. Is it, I don't know the current code on parking garages, is it not required to provide any PVs by 2025 CBC?
I don't believe we're required to carry PV at the moment.
Right. So I can take a stab at answering that. So in the past, we've tried to add PV because it's just the perfect installation on our parking garages. I imagine this PV installation would be bid as an add alternate to this project when it goes to construction. because we've done that in the future, like in the recent Cal Avenue garage, we did end up building it, we bid it as a ad alternate, and we did install the solar panels as part of that construction.
Okay. But based on the current code, you are not required to provide any?
I don't believe so.
No, I don't believe so, just because of the nature of the building type.
Okay.
We often have PV on garages if they're associated with a building, say with an office building, you're providing demand for that. And often we are putting PV on the garage to kind of offset the requirements for the other buildings. But here, because we're a standalone parking garage, we have more exceptions and less limitations.
And I assume the garage is going to be sprinklered?
Yes,
And so this top level would also be sprinklered in preparation for the
Yes, we would
PVs?
have connections for, as soon as the PV went up and it became a coverage, we would have connections at the upper deck to provide sprinkler underneath the canopy.
Okay, thank you. So actually, this might be a question for Ken. I'm going back to the ground floor, actually, this plan right here. Thank you. Actually, can we stay on that side plan?
Oh.
Thank you. So over here, you mentioned we have, you've got a fencing which becomes the side of that paseo as you walk down that way.
Right.
Can you elaborate on that? And is there any egress from Taipan or the next door that comes out
Yes,
here that
they'll
will be
need to-
blocked?
So there will need to be a gate coming out of that fence because there's a rear entrance, rear exit from Taipan. And then there'd also need to be either a gate, or this is probably just an opening. No, it can't be an opening, that's a property line. So there'd be a gate from this building as well, because they have their own trash back there. So this fence will hide the back of the buildings in a consistent way, but we'll need to have gate perforations in it.
Okay. Thank you.
So just to continue on that one, just for a moment, they will be maintaining their garbage in the open areas, I guess, behind their building, and then bring it out during garbage collection?
In this case, they probably would bring it out on collection day, although it's fairly close. Green waste will open up garbage
And go
containers,
on
yeah, as long as it's within 25 feet of the property line. Other than, if you're further than that, they want you to bring it out.
They'll move it. They'll
Yeah.
move it on the day, yeah.
Right.
That's true.
So the fence goes to about right there, and then this part of that property is open?
Correct. So, yeah, so if that's open there, yes, oh, you're right,
Yeah,
Yeah, it
that's
goes
a
to
good
the edge
point.
of the garage.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it would stay open, yeah.
Yeah, so no gate there.
Okay, and then for Taipan, they will have a gate somewhere here, and they will take their trash to this.
Right, no trash on site there, right?
Actually, we'd have to take a look at where the doorway is from Taipei. The present existing doorway.
Yeah,
Here.
yeah, I believe it's down
microphone is
towards
off.
the bottom.
Oh,
Oh, there it is.
yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Great.
Thank you. I think that's the last of my major questions. I do want to ask the city one more time, though. The public restroom that is being provided now is being removed. And I understand it's not required per se, but it's an amenity that's been available. Has there been any discussion of being able to provide that public amenity again?
The public restroom on that corner was already removed about 3 or 4 years ago. It hasn't been
At
there
least,
for quite
yeah.
some time.
It's been there quite a while.
Yes. So, yeah, the city does not want to install a restroom at any of our garages at this time.
I have an additional question. I pointed out that, I don't exactly, maybe both of you, it's a more intricate question, I think. The access to the elevator is really a pretty remote situation here. From the front, the almost clearest way to get there without being interrupted by traffic and making it difficult is to come in this rather narrow area and avoid the traffic by going around it. You know, you come in, you go to the end there, and then you cross over when the traffic is coming in and turning and going up the ramp, et cetera. Have you, and the other part of this issue is that the main entry to this building is really the architectural element of the corner of the building. So you almost would imagine that you want to invite more activity in through that to make it a functional piece of work. You know, coming down the stair is one thing. Going up the stair, I don't think people will use the stair if they had to go to the third or fourth levels, you know, at that point. But the coming down is very reasonable. So, you know, to me, it seemed that it would be better if you included the elevator closer to the front of the building and with access, clear access, that you made sure that the handicapped parking happened on that level so that there was a sort of a limitation of the parking and an easy access. So I was wondering why you wouldn't consider
and more central. Yeah, so Gordon, you want to? Yeah. I don't have that in my.
So, you know, among other things, I wanted just to make a point. There's more parking in the front of the building than there is in the rear. It's pretty close, but there is more in the front. So you're likely to see all of the areas in the front filling up pretty well.
I think the location of the elevator and the stair core to the kind of northwest of our plan is a result of the geometry of the parking ramp and the parking circulation. On the plan we've got up on the screen at the moment, you'll see that we need a certain length in the ramp to get us up floor to floor and make those rotations and turn. The south area of the plan on the site is the only place we have enough depth for both parking and ramp to make an efficient parking plan. I think in the previous design back in 2018, we had an elevator, but it was further east on this plan, and that is the area that is now kind of allotted for the future residential. So by placing that, we eat into the residential area by putting the elevator, say, to the east of the stair you're seeing now. If we put it actually more central in the building, we put the elevator within the parking area, we lose parking stalls.
Oh, I don't think you could, if you didn't have the elevator in the back, you could compress your stair and get this replacement parking in that same location to the, and this way you would, you know, this garage is sort of in comparison to the other garages, and probably your more standard garage anywhere is going to have, like the 3 garages in our downtown right now, I'm probably sure you know about them. They all have the everything at a corner next to the public right-of-way, the traffic areas or the pedestrian ground level areas. And this one is a different kind of a garage that way because it splits the parking. So it just seems to me that it would be more convenient if you had that on the other side. I'm not suggesting any change in your circulation plan, but that you had pedestrian entering that corner and the elevator sort of allowing with a direct access straight across the handicap maybe place to the street, and freed up the back for more parking and kept the staircase as a direct access to the, and then people don't, so for example, you know, going down in the future you have that long paseo, which you describe as it's a nice one once you get there, but you're going to be going past perhaps the garbage of the housing or who knows what, but it's a very long passageway once you put the
Sorry to
housing on
interrupt.
the
Do you have a
corner.
question? We're still in question section.
Is it a question? It's a discussion,
Yeah, I suppose one of the other considerations.
and it really needs their input.
One of the other considerations we need to account for is the requirement that the elevator is within 200 feet of any stair that doesn't have its own elevator. And so the location we have for the elevator at the moment is in that central location. And so that 200 feet travel distance to the two stairs is maintained. If we separate the elevator too far from the stair, we'd have to. Again, I think this was part of one of the early studies we did when we developed this layout. We would need possibly either a second elevator, or we would have to have one of the stairs operating only as an egress stair and not as a circulation stair. So there's one of those aspects there.
You're saying 200 feet from what
if we have a stair, any stair that is used as a circulation stair, it has to be
Egress
200.
stair.
No, just a circulation stair.
Just a circulation
It
stair.
has to be within 200 feet of an elevator. So if we move it further than 200 feet, it can only be used as an egress stair. So you can't use that as just movement around your building. It has to be a dedicated fire egress stair.
Well,
So
I think you would meet those standards if you kept the stair where it is right now, you know?
I think there's certainly a number of criteria affecting where it is, but I understand your point.
Can I make an argument for where the elevator to stay where it is? So,
Well, you can.
just
I could disagree with you, though.
between us, I think that there's also a safety element here that needs to be considered. When you're standing here and you're walking towards this back end of the parking lot, it can get dark. It's not on the street faces. It's a lot more isolated. So by providing a central located circulation space, you're really sort of invigorating that central portion and making this dead end here feel not quite so dead. So from a safety aspect, when I'm thinking about walking through this parking lot by myself at nighttime, I'm thrilled that that's right in the middle there, and that it's easy for me to get to my car at a short distance with other people sort of coming and going from that location. I think if the elevator was over here and I had to walk to my car all the way down here by myself at night, I would be a lot more sketched out.
And that would also be the account if you were exiting from the top left of the garage and you were having to walk through that whole garage floor to get to the elevator at the bottom right.
Yeah, I really wasn't suggesting that location. I was suggesting, how can I write on this?
Hit the little drawing button
Up.
and pick a different color so we know who's who.
Help me, somebody.
Yep.
Come over. Oops. Why'd we get this plan?
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
We'll stop moving.
So I was suggesting this area right here. On the ground floor.
Roughly with that location.
That if you had a little plaza at that end of the ramp, and you were visually able to see, you know, when you came out of the elevator, to see cars coming around from every location, wouldn't that be better? On the ground floor, you could come straight out.
But we still have to have our stairs operating as an egress stair, even if it's
Yes.
egress and circulation.
You keep the stair,
but
you keep the stair where it is.
So we're
in the
having,
back.
that would create 3 circulation cores.
Yeah, and
No.
this is, yeah, it would,
have an
because that's
elevator and two
Do you
circulation.
need, do you need to have a stair always immediately next to a stair?
No,
or
what I'm
elevator?
saying is you would have an elevator core and 2 stair cores. So you would have 3 pedestrian destinations on the floor plate.
And this is a drive aisle, this is a drive aisle, this is a drive aisle. So you're putting that elevator, which is likely to be the most used thing, right in the island, completely surrounded by cars, which feels a little bit more dangerous than the potential of just walking right here without ever having crossing a car path.
On any typical floor, you have to walk through a car path, right? If you're going to use the corner stair coming up to the upper floors in many ways, you would be crossing the car path, always.
I agree, but at the ground floor is where you have vehicles entering and exiting, and they're typically paying less attention to their parking, their movements, and you have 100% of your vehicles going through that area. Everyone has to exit on the ground floor. So
on the ground floor, all of the vehicles going up the ramp could avoid that, the location that I just showed you. They could avoid it. It is much less a problem because you don't have a cellar in this area, so the cars will be coming there. As I pointed out before, if you had more handicapped access parking.
This is the ramp going up, also the ramp that cars are coming down. So
correct.
crossing, if you're coming into the elevator, like if you're coming from, like where they have it right now is kind of where all of the pedestrian walkways meet.
Yeah, this is a pedestrian entrance coming in here.
Well, I understand they
like
have the rear one, the Paseo, and then the corner one would work, but not the one which you have as your main entry to this building, which directs people towards that staircase that's right there, or across the floor to an elevator.
But if you're using this staircase, David, you're likely, so for example, there's the parking structure, if you don't mind me jumping in here. There's the parking structure between High Street, Hamilton, Alma, and University, right? And we use that one all the time. That one, again, you've got your staircase at the corner and your elevator at the front corner. If we're going up the first floor, 4 flights of stairs, that elevator is dark and gross and doesn't smell good. So we take the stairs, right? If you're using this front staircase, you're likely going up one of the first 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 flights of stairs. You'd never need the elevator, right? Here, you've got public access from pedestrian-only like circulation to that elevator. Same thing here from this side. Same thing even here from this side. It's really all right here in a way that you never have to cross vehicular traffic with the exception of this little spot right here.
I frequently have gone out
wrap our
all
questions
of those.
It seems to make sense on the edge, like where it is. It seems to be, it's kind of this confluence of all these pedestrian paths coming together, and it's still on the edge of the building, which I think is important because it's important to identify the elevator and the stair, I think, where you're going. And we don't have, we can't do 2 elevators. Right?
Oh, no, I understood, I realized that that's the case.
But Board Member Hirsch, I mean, this, for all the kind of the reason, I understand what you're saying. Our first studies had the elevator at the main feature stair. But as we really got into it and had these other pathways coming together and working with Watry in terms of travel distance, this 200-foot thing, it seemed like this was a reasonable place. It's still on the edge. It's at this confluence, and it's central to the building, so that it made sense. Now, we showed it here at the preliminary back in December, and there was no discussion about that.
Well, sometimes it takes a little bit longer to think out real problems. So this one happened after that meeting, of course. But personally, I think elevators ought to be very convenient and in an area where you can get to them quickly from the outside. They are that way on all of our other garages in downtown.
Right, but what's not fast about this? That's not a whole lot different.
What is going to get you to go there? Your entire entry is focused on the corner where you're opening up the structure.
So I guess
you're inviting people to come to that corner. That ought to be the place. And I agree with you that putting another elevator in is not a good idea. But if you put it in the front section of the building, separate from the stair, you could make up the change in the number of car locations in the back.
Right. But if it's not coupled with that stair, it's not really achieving what you're after, is it? Wouldn't you want it coupled with the stair?
Of I don't see, if you're going to take people who want to take a stair and coming down from their, depositing their car, easily can use any stair they'd like, it's convenient.
David, I think we should wrap up this item, but we should, I'm kind of with the designers that I think it's two things. One is what's a visual entry and identification of the garage, which that stair definitely helps, but it is a city garage that is at an intersection of two streets and people are using it from 4 different directions. So where they have it, kind of like what Kendra was saying, it's central to all the pedestrian pathways, because that's what the elevator is for. Right? But let's wrap up our question section. And no, we don't do any public comments right now. All right, so then we'll close this.
I have one teeny tiny question.
Sure.
Do you guys have lights down the paseos as well? It's in the renderings that you've got those little string lights?
The festoon string
Perfect.
lights, yeah, they go down the Passaic.
Thank you.
No worries, thank you. All right, so we will switch this to internal discussion. Who wants to start?
Well, I'm going to start by saying that I think that aspect needs more study. I feel strongly that I find it to be an issue that isn't resolved in this particular garage because this garage is not your typical garage, and opening the elevator for people who want to get to the upper floors to a more visual area as you come into the garage from that corner, from the new corner opening, will be a significant benefit. You really don't need the exit to be the same location. People who are in the back of the building will use the back of the building staircase and go down the Paseo. And the people in the front will have an alternative possibility of using the elevator or the side stair.
All right, Kendra, any comments?
This is one of those times where David and I butt heads. I respectfully disagree. I think that by putting the elevator where you guys have designed it, it's sort of, again, enlivening that back portion of the parking lot that may otherwise be somewhat neglected and or avoided. The front has the desire to be parked in because of the light, because of the air, because of the beautiful staircase. And I think by having that elevator back there, it's actually quite beneficial to people, as Board Member Adcock said, coming from all directions, including the alleyway. So I'm a big fan of this as designed. Of course, you guys do impeccable work on many, many different types of projects, and to see the care and attention that you guys put into something as simple as a parking lot is really nice to see. My questions were minimal because I don't have a lot of comments. It's really a very well done project in my mind, and I'm good with it. Thank you.
All right, yeah, thank you both architects for your presentation and very thoughtful design. I'm going to not discuss the elevator anymore, but I agree with Kendra that it is in the ideal location based on all the desire lines of getting to this parking garage from all of the businesses that are in this area. That parking lot, as is now, is very heavily used, and I expect this extra parking will be of huge benefit. My other comment is about that, what I was asking earlier about the stair that's laid out. I think it looks to be maybe over 14 feet wide at the bottom as it is now, but it is kind of pinching onto that next future property. Since we don't know anything about it, I don't think planning for an easement from an unknown project is the best course of action. So I would urge you to reduce the width so you at least have a 5-foot walkway and all of your pedestrian walkways are within your design without counting on what happens in the future. We didn't even talk about materials and all of that, which we reviewed previously as well. And here we go. They are all very beautiful materials and very well designed and proportioned, so hats off to the design team for making a parking garage this appealing. For the city, I know it's not required, but I do hope you can get PVs on this. It's a good investment of in day one instead of hoping some fine day PVs get added, because really no projects get PVs added in the future if it's left for the future. It's very, very rare, so I urge you to find the resources to do that and make it a public benefit. I think with that, I think
I'd like to make it,
sure.
no, I don't want to leave this project.
Microphone?
We're okay. I just don't want to not say that this is a very nice project. You know, the materials are really nice. The concept of the corner treatment, of course, is really going to be quite amazing on the block. It takes away from the fact that the AT&T building is so ugly. But I think it requires, you know, being very careful about how the housing would work with it, because I'd like to see it from down the street somewhere, you know, identify it. So in a way, the projecting of the housing is unfortunate there. You know, I'd much rather see the massing even, you know, go all the way up to the line of the top, I guess, of the solid wall before the metal at the top. And keep the facade of the housing back. But I think you should consider recommending this strongly to council through planning here in order to maintain the aesthetic of the garage itself, and that specifically that corner, you know, so we can see it from everywhere. Of course, I would like to ask you to look into the circulation, because I don't think it changes the design of anything in particular, only the circulation, to move an elevator to the front and consider that possibility, despite my cohorts here up on the podium. Thank you. Thanks for a very nice project.
Thank you, David. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I move to approve the project as presented today, with maybe the one condition of reevaluating the splay angle of that bottom stair to make sure that there's at least a 5-foot passage next to it. Stuck with that other one.
I can't recommend approval today, but I would
I guess we should
Have a motion.
Have the
there needs to be a
motion.
second, and then you can
I
vote.
can't, I have to vote no, just
All right.
on the
We
basis
don't have
of
the voting yet,
circulation.
David, so, all right, I will second the motion, and
You got to vote your conscience. That's all we can do. Yeah.
Go with it.
all right, can we have a call to vote?
Board Member Hirsch,
No.
Vice Chair Rosenberg,
Yes.
Chair Ad hoc, sorry.
Yes.
And then typically, anyone who dissents gets a
Yeah,
moment to
would
speak
you
to their dissent.
like to speak on your dissent?
Well, I don't think I have to say any more, do I?
Motion passes?
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, thank you, team, for your presentation. We will take an 8-minute break and come back at 10:05.
And congratulations. back up.
All right, we will move on to the next part of our agenda, which is a public hearing, another public hearing quasi-judicial for 762 San Antonio Road, request for recommendation on a major architectural review application to demolish 3 existing commercial buildings and construct an 8-story multifamily residential building containing 228 residential apartments. 13% of these units, 30 of them, would be deed restricted to serve lower-income households. The project is proposed in accordance with California Government Code for Builders Remedy. Senate Bill 330 pre-application was filed January 9th of 2024. CEQA status is that an addendum to the previously certified environmental impact report for the Housing Incentive Program expansion and 788 San Antonio mixed-use project has been prepared, and the zoning district is a service commercial. And the recommendation is to consider the addendum to the previously certified EIR and recommend approval of this project. So with that, can we have the staff report?
Good morning. My name is Christina Dobkevichus. I'm the associate planner with the City of Palo Alto, and I'm here today to present this project, which is Builders Remedy Project at 762 San Antonio Road. A little bit about the background about the project. The applicant submitted a compliant Senate Bill SB 330 pre-application back in 2024. Accordingly, the project has been evaluated based on the development standards in effect at that time. The project is also proposed pursuant to California Governmental Code Section 65589.5 D5, commonly referred as to a builder's remedy project, which qualifies for additional protections under Assembly Bill 1893, a builder's remedy project. Proposal includes requested density bonus incentives and waivers consistent with the state law. For formal major architectural review application, this one was submitted back in April 2024. In August 2025, ARB provided preliminary design feedback. And here we are today looking at the revised drawings based on the Architectural Review Board feedback. The city, acting as a lead agency, prepared an addendum to the previously certified EIR for the Housing Incentive Program expansion and 788 San Antonio mixed-use project, which concluded that no new significant environmental impacts occur beyond those that were previously evaluated. And following second ARB hearing today and ARB's recommendation on the project, Council's decision is anticipated in August this year. About the project site, it comprises 2 parcels located at 762 San Antonio and also unaddressed parcel on Leghorn Street. And these 2 will be merged to form a 2-acre site. The project would replace the existing truck rental use by demolishing 3 existing commercial buildings and constructing an 8-story, 228-unit multifamily residential development. Project includes 30 units, which is 30% of the proposed units, to be deed restricted at below market rate to low-income tenants. And we have 248 above-ground parking spaces with entrances on both San Antonio and Leghorn Street. Because the project is proposed under builder's remedy, the city may only apply objective standards that would allow the proposed density. Based on the project's proposed density, which is 114 dwelling units per acre, the floor area ratio is 3.4 3.4521, the El Camino Real focus area standards are the applicable zoning framework for this project. And under the state law density bonus law, applicant may also request waivers for standards that would physically prevent development at the proposed density. Project includes 3 levels of above-grade parking. The ground level is accessed from San Antonio Road. The upper 2 parking levels are internally connected and accessed from the Leghorn Street via separate entrance and exit. We also have bike parking provided in 2 ground floor bike rooms with access from both frontages, lobby, and the garage. The project includes, as I have already mentioned, 228 long-term bicycle parking spaces as well. Back in August 2025, last year, ARB provided preliminary design feedback that focused on reducing the perceived massing, improving architectural articulation, enhancing ground floor activation, strengthening landscape and open space design, and improving circulation and rooftop usability. Since the preliminary hearing, applicant revised the project to include increase the unit count from 178 to 228 units, and by also adding 1 additional story from 7 to 8 stories. The revised project has also been redesigned to reflect refinements to massing, facade articulation, open space design, also in response to ARB's comments. Staff finds that the revised design reflects meaningful refinements of the building form and architectural expression as well. These are the proposed materials, which are slightly different from the board that you have, materials board you have in person. These are the revised, simplified color palette. Overall, staff finds that the project complies with architectural review findings for approval as detailed in the record of land use action, attachment B. Although the project requests waivers from certain objective development and design standards, primarily within Palo Alto Municipal Code Chapter 18.24, the project deviates in a manner that is consistent and allowed pursuant to state law. Pursuant to state density bonus law and the project's builder's remedy status, the inconsistencies do not constitute a basis for denial where the requested waivers and are necessary to accommodate the proposed density, and where no specific adverse impact to public health or safety has been identified. The project remains within the scope of the impacts analyzed in the certified EIR back in 2020, and all applicable mitigation measures continue to apply. And accordingly, an addendum prepared based on the section 15164 CEQA is appropriate, and no subsequent or supplemental EIR is required. Accordingly, staff recommends that Architectural Review Board today considers the addendum to previously certified environmental impact report and recommends approval of the proposed project to the City Council based on the findings and subject to conditions in the record of land use action. Thank you. This concludes my presentation. We also have applicant present, and they also have a presentation.
Thank you, Christina. Do we have any questions for the staff? I have one minor question. If you can go back to your slide deck. I think it's like 3 or 4 slides back. It was a rendering,
This one.
maybe that one, yeah.
Sorry, it's a little slow. This one?
I think further back. No, actually, yeah, that one, number 9. That is from that view. I was trying to figure out which view that is compared to what.
This is interior, which is, we'll give you the side plan, this
The
side.
long side, okay. Because that was a little different from what we've seen on the package. So on that elevation, because that's where it's pretty close to the property line and not much in the way of setbacks. So maybe this is a question for the applicant, but those eyebrows that are at the very top, is that within the property lines?
That whole rear facade looks like it has a 10-foot setback?
That's correct. It's a 10-foot setback.
But yeah, it'd be nice to know what the dimension of those eyebrows is.
Let me see if I can find this on the plans.
Yeah, so that's that here. Sorry, I don't recall seeing that on any of the sections, so I'm just trying to figure out where that. That's the render on 331 is the same image. So it looks like it is, and maybe applicant can respond to that after their presentation, it looks like it encroaches into that 10-foot setback, and we just want to be mindful of that. Any other questions? All right, if not, we can, if the applicant can move forward with their presentation, you'll have 10 minutes, and please state and spell your name.
On the site and why we believe this property can continue serving the community in a new way. Since then, our team has listened carefully to the board's feedback and made several refinements to the proposal. One of the bigger changes is the move from 7 stories to 8. The goal is not simply to make the building taller. It is to use the site more thoughtfully by providing additional housing in a location that is well suited for it, while improving the project's design and its relationship to the San Antonio Road corridor. We appreciate the board's guidance and the time spent reviewing the project.
Mark Johnson, Managing Director of the Acclaimed Companies. We're the developer. Since we were last here, you can see some fairly significant changes and we consider improvements to the project. We took your feedback seriously, and we've incorporated many of your suggestions. I want to particularly acknowledge Board Member Hirsch. He spent quite a bit of time, actually, sketching some things out for us. He came to my office, he met with me, we had a very constructive dialogue, and we took his feedback to our team, and we've incorporated a lot of his ideas, and I wanted to thank you for that. You can see, David, the lobby is where you wanted it to be. We've relocated the elevator core, the leasing area, all of those activated areas on the ground floor have been repositioned in addition to the bike room. So we appreciate. I see this as the functioning of a committee and using your professional input. More eyes is better, and so thank you, all of you, for your input. Some of the other things that we've done is we've actually, and Chris will talk more about this, vertical break along San Antonio Road. We wanted to make sure we preserved what is, I guess, the Grand Boulevard San Antonio Road plan. We've also elevated the garage entry to allow oversized delivery and service vehicles. Everything will be able to be contained and accessed within our parking structure to avoid any stacking along San Antonio Road. And there's several other improvements that Chris will articulate, but anyway, collectively, these revisions reflect a lot of your previous comments regarding circulation, access, and functionality, and the overall pedestrian experience, and we believe the project is substantially improved as a result of your feedback, and so we appreciate it.
My name is Chris Lee, CHRSLEE, Studio T Square Architect. Like Martha, we incorporate several changes summarized in this page, not just for the sake of answering questions, but really take serious look into the option and make the project better. So thanks again for taking time to review and comment. The summary page, I didn't mention, the number one is provide a vertical break to eliminate one of the waivers that we previously request. And number two in the plan is relocate the core so in more centralized area and serve better, not just the typical level, but also the ground level. We made some improvement. And third one is we have a double height space storefront all across San Antonio Road right now to activate the street better. And number four, we provide also a direct access from the east wing stair all the way can direct dial to the San Antonio Road sidewalk. Number five, we convert those leftover podium space into a private deck so they can better maintain and enjoy those space on the podium. And number six, there's some concern about the flat roof will accumulate trash for the corridor to look into in the future before we incorporate some metal roof on that area. So still have a lower massing, but uses metal roof to eliminate the trash issue. And number seven, we create a little bit more step down on that area and add another roof deck for the amenity space. Those are the highlight of the changes. And we also simplify color and material board to eliminate one of the color that is similar in the shade. Next, please. Next slide, please. So on the ground level, I could say right now we moved the bike room to the back because bikes still need to screen for the privacy, security reasons. So we moved the bike room to the back, so open up the whole storefront on the San Antonio Road to activate the street. It's through our double high space with very a grand stair and mezzanine space. I think it will be more interesting when you walk into this space. And also we provide delivery directly from San Antonio Road. We reorganize the garage, so we allocate 2 delivery and Uber drop-off pickup location inside the San Antonio entrance. Next, please. So right now, you see the ground level plan. The San Antonio entrance has delivery and pickup. And all the moving and trash pickup those heavy surface will come from the Lacombe Street on the Lacombe side. And the red line also shows the direct connection from the east wing, the stair. People can go down the stair directly, go through that pathway into the San Antonio sidewalk. Those are the change we incorporate some of the great comment that you guys provide. Next, please. The third level we added to the project, it really has, the garage was wrapped around by the unit, so there's no exposure. We carefully not to have garage exposed to the street, so it was wrapped around by the liner unit. so very efficiently to strike the balance between the parking and the residential unit. So from the street, there are no more garage was exposed or activate by the unit windows. Next, please. The podium level remains similar. We have a pool deck facing the south, take advantage of the south sunlight and surrounded by the fitness, clubhouse, and the wellness center. Next, please. On the roof level, we have a 2-story massing drop down on the south side of the Centennial Road. And we also add another roof deck on the north side near the lake home. So the amenity program will be add up from the previous version. Next, please. This is a view from the south side. You can see the massing was very compatible to the existing hotel at the south and future development to the north in this grand Centennial area plan. Next, please. The elevation, this is the street side elevation. The upper is Centennial, the lower is Lake Home. And then we use more vertical, smaller element to activate the street, also bringing more residential, smaller module fabric to the street front for the project. And upper level step back and lower level use more enhancement material. I think that's to pronounce the base, middle, and top expression. Next, please. The perspective view, you can see on the south side, the roof deck drop down 2-level really relieve the corner and also made the entrance expression more pleasant to look at. Next, please. The rear side of elevation, we also take very serious look into it. There will be future development look into this, so we feel like that's also very important elevation. But instead of use smaller module, I think there will be, with a longer elevation, we use a larger element, more dynamic and playful massing to interlock with the base, middle, top expression, so provide more interesting elevation from the rear side too. Next, please. So that's the corner looking from the mountain view side into the project. So this is a combination of transition from the Centennial Road into the oil change and then to the lake home. I think we're in keeping with the modulation throughout the street view. Next, please. Material pretty much in keeping similar.
Sorry to interrupt. You're out of time, but you can have another 30 seconds to wrap up.
Right.
Thank you.
The next, please. The section just show lower level has some weather protection, upper level step back. Next, please. The detail showing the step back and the recess of the corner. Next, please. The last one is the landscape design. We strike a balance of usable paving space and the planter space. The planting area, we made the ODS requirement, including the stone treatment area. We also have some small group paving area, so for residents to can use that and also break up into smaller groups, so more people can enjoy the roof deck and the pool deck. Next. I think that concludes the presentation. Thank you. I just want to just answer the question about the rear elevation, the canopy. It is within the property line, encroaching into the setback, but our setback is more than the code require. We have 10-foot setback. I believe the code require 5 foot. So I think we're still within the code allowed setback. Thank you.
Thank you. I forgot to ask for disclosure, so David, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. Yes, as noted, I met with the developers, and we had a very useful conversation. And I did not visit the site again, but did the previous time.
Nothing to disclose.
I visited the site.
I visited the site last time, but have not recently.
Thank you. So with that, do we have any, any public speakers on this item?
We do not have any public speakers on this item.
Thank you. Then do we have any questions for the applicant or the staff? David, do you have any questions?
Could you describe the parking in the San Antonio entry area there? Who will be using the parking spaces there?
Yes, can we pull out the plan? It's better to,
101?
the ground level plan.
Yeah, it's, I can share the plans if it's easier.
Okay, yeah. So San Antonio Road entrance only serve this level. And then the second level will enter from the lake home. So we don't have a ramp connect to the upper level. So the first, I forgot the count, probably roughly 20 stall will be gas parking. So for future tenant, for the gas, they can park before the gate. There will not be a gate enter into the first area, which can be Uber pickup, can be Uber E delivery, or in that area, as well as the future tenant or the gas parking at the first area before the gate. And then we have a gate, I think on the right-hand side. Past the gate will be all assigned parking. So people, if you don't not assign in this level, you will not go through you will not be able to go through the gate to park. So after the gate will be all assigned parking for the residents. Yes.
So this is outside, and then there's a gate here and.
Right, right.
Okay.
Does that work for Waymo as well? Would they be, I hate to do this to you, but it's a question because it's becoming obvious around town there's a lot of Waymo cars.
That's a very good question. I think they have an option. I hope they map this into their system.
I recall it was either a pre-screening meeting for one of the projects on San Antonio Road. I don't know if it was in front of the ARB or the city council, or it was Parking and Transportation Commission meeting. There's a member there, it's an employee of Waymo, and they said that Waymos do not go inside of buildings at this time.
Yeah, Commissioner G works for Waymo and expressed that it's difficult for it to back out and go into buildings, but yeah.
I mentioned the option because Lake Home, in my mind, probably if Waymo want to go to this property, better to map into the Lake Home area to drop off. We have a secondary RB there too.
Currently, Waymo picks up in the oil changers parking lot, right there in the corner.
Any other questions, Stephen?
Well, I wait for future here.
Martin?
Couple small questions. It looks like you have a pet wash room in the first floor inside the garage. Is there any intention to make that? And then the sort of a tied question is you had shown a dog run area, but I couldn't locate it. So I'm wondering where that location of a fenced-in dog run area is going to be?
Yeah, it's around the car wash, the oil change area. Yeah, that L shape, the reverse L shape from Lake Home to
That whole thing?
Yeah, the whole.
Okay, and that pet wash is right next to that, but not directly accessible? Okay, so you'd have to walk out of that into the garage and then to the dog run area?
I think the intention is have a door to go out to that. Okay, we'll probably miss the door there.
Yeah, no, there's a door, but it goes into the parking lot. Maybe this is super nitpicky, so apologies for getting into the hyper weeds here, but I love my dog, so it would sort of be a question about whether that door is oriented properly and whether the specific location of that spot is as best as it could be for considering what's going to happen in that room with wet animals being transported to and from apartments and in and out towards that dog run area. Again, not anything that needs to hold up the meeting, just wanted to ask about that. And thank you for clarifying where the dog run area is.
Right, the intention is to have another door just suit that, around that parking and then go out to that.
Understood. Okay, thank you. Unit types and plans. Again, I like getting into the weeds and some of this stuff. Residential plans. So you guys have shown on sort of the following pages from this one, like the A20, let's see, A106, 105, 104, all of those. Thank you. Any of these will do. These are the only sort of indications we have as to what these units are going to look like. We have not been provided with any further details of the unit types. Is there a reason for that?
We have 90% of the unit have the firm out layout, but because the time constraint and many changes we incorporate for the last round, so just a few, probably 2 or 3 of the special unit type we haven't like totally figured out.
Sure.
So we elect to not show them.
That's my one hesitation, is it's hard for me to, approve a plan when we don't know what's going actually on inside. That being said, it looks like you've got a nice mixture of apartment types. Could you please refresh our memories with how many are single unit studios? Do you guys have an overall count for that you could please state for the record? Here we go.
Right, those are the unit mix. We have studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and 3 bedroom, all in the mix.
So that's right up there.
We also provide probably more than normal 3 bedrooms for the family, so they can enjoy the community.
Great. And if we can flip back to one of those, floor plan levels, any of them, A103, 4, or 5, doesn't really matter. There's one unit in particular that I sort of have some questions about, which is part of the reason I wanted to see what the actual floor plan is. Keep going. There we go. That's fine. So it's this unit right here, right? That really inner elbow unit. That's one of those that it's always sort of concerning when we see those in buildings because those get the least amount of light and air naturally. Now, it looks like you've sort of pulled the facade of this back in to allow for light and air, but because we don't have the floor plan, it's really difficult to assess how this unit is truly laid out and how it's truly going to function. So I would just raise a concern about that being that we'd want to make sure that that's actually truly a functional unit, and especially I believe it's being considered sorry, my eyes are old. Is it a 1-bedroom? Unit 2C.
Right next to.
Oh my God, I can't see anything. Do we know how many bedrooms are in that one? 2-bedroom? Okay, and then right next to it's a studio? So there's like a little studio here and then a bedroom unit here, is that correct? Sorry, my pen is suddenly no longer not working. Yeah, the skinny one is the studio, and then the one next to it that's sort of zigzag shaped is a 2-bedroom. Accurate?
But those, we usually plug in that into our, we call the inner corner 2-bedroom. If you go to the Deems at Santonio Road, they have that unit work out actually very successfully.
Yeah.
As a designer, we look at that as inferior unit, but from the leasing agent, some people like that because it's more, it's not open to the outside
private.
Noisy.
Yeah.
And the light is not that bright into their window, so I think something people might like if they enjoy more privacy. And
Yeah. I guess the question would be, was there any consideration to combine, I don't have my pen working, to combine those two units to being maybe a 3-bedroom unit there, and then just giving that one unit at least a little bit more of a stretch of windows by combining it all into one larger unit, you'd get a bit more of that light and air exposure overall. Was there a consideration for that, or was it really?
Yeah, we can consider that, yeah.
And again, I understand I'm getting into the weeds here, but it's those sort of units can become problematic oh, there we go, all the things. It can become problematic pretty quickly, so I just want to keep an eye on that one. And then going to the landscape, and I think that's going to be my last question. Now let me try and find it. Going to the landscape, so just to make sure I'm understanding everything correctly, I'm looking at L101, is a great visual for this. That enlargement plan of the 4th floor, where this pool deck and everything sits at the 4th floor, so it's actually quite high up, and then you only have 4 floors above that, is that correct? So it's not quite as much in a well as it might be. It's not down on the 1st floor, and then you've got 8 stories above it. It's really at 4th floor, and then you've got 4 stories above it.
Right, it's at level, on top of level 3, so we have 5 levels above it.
5 levels above it, so 1, 2, 3, okay. And then 7th floor plan has the Sky Lounge right next to it. And then the 8th floor plan, does that have a lounge next to it as well?
Yes.
As well, perfect. Okay, so that's the Sky Lounge here, and then that's the lounge for this one?
Right.
Great. Okay, that's it. Those are all my questions. Thanks very much.
All right, I have a few questions that are kind of follow-ups on the same. I'll start with the garage. So you have the first level that's only access from San Antonio, and then the upper 2 levels that are only from Leghorn. Are they all assigned parking so the residents would know which entrance to go from?
Correct. From the lake home and the second and third level are all assigned parking.
Okay. And I guess it's a question for the city, because San Antonio, I mean, the intent is that cars don't stop there. So if Waymos or other self-driving cars can't come in to the garage, then if they're waiting, they would potentially be outside on the street. Is that correct?
Yes, there's no loading spaces on San Antonio or Leghorn at the moment.
And for the applicant right now, from your presentation, the waiting area otherwise is on San Antonio entrance side, correct? For Uber Eats and pickups and all of that.
I think with the drivers, delivery, and pickup, we will be inside the garage.
This is not necessarily your problem, but if self-driving vehicles cannot come in, that's something I think it's a larger question for the city for all of these developments. I have another question regarding the pool as well, because level 3 garage has that pool equipment room, which is directly below the pool, but the pool is larger than that, and I was trying to find your floor-to-floor. Oh, here it is about 10 feet from level 3 to level 4, 10-foot 2. So does that account for the pool depth, and how deep is the pool?
Yeah, I think we
garage?
intend for a raised pool. It's about 4 feet of the ground, and then we will have a accessible ramp associated with that, and the fence around it.
Is that shown in the plans?
I believe so. I couldn't see
I'm
the
on
detail.
A101 and I don't quite.
I think there's a ramp incorporated in there.
Yeah, if I can direct the room's attention to L101, it does appear to show that although I did miss it, I didn't realize that there was a significant grade change there.
It says plus 2 feet.
Yeah.
On the north side of the pool.
I'm sharing the section drawing. You can see the pool in the section drawing.
On the plan, it says plus 2 feet to that level so is that what it is? Like
L101.
2 up and 3 down? L101 says plus 2 feet.
We have half down, half raised.
Okay. That seems quite shallow for, I don't know, what's your intended depth for this pool?
About 4 feet.
Yeah, okay. And I have another question about the unit types as well. The particular, I was looking at the same one Kendra was when I was reviewing this over the weekend, and because that the units that are right in the knuckle are also, other than one floor, is designated as the below market rate, and it does seem like the least desirable corner. So without floor plans of, where the bedrooms are, who has access to windows, and I think it was a project that we reviewed last week, or maybe the last time or time before, where some of the bedrooms were interior and planning on doing borrowed light through the living room. Is that your plan as well?
I think those unit, like I say, is a proven, work very well unit in the build project. We feel confident that can very livable project, very livable unit. But all three room has window, even they look at their own unit, but the benefit is more privacy. That's why we learn from building those units. Yeah. Okay. We can supply the actual unit plan to you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in the same boat of, without seeing unit plans for at least a typical unit plan, it's really hard to tell what you're intending to do here.
Maybe I can describe, but basically the middle module is a living room, and then on the left and on the right side, there are 2 bedrooms separated by the living room.
Okay. I want to go to that, the axon view elevation, axon view that, or perspective view that shows the exteriors, any one of them. Christina, can you bring that back up?
Sure.
So on the San Antonio side, it seems like where you have the canopies over, that's on the cover of your drawing set, over the balconies, that seems organized with like the overall composition. When you turn around to the other elevations, I'm curious what the logic is for those eyebrows. They cover some windows, but not all, or what is the design intent? I'm on page, say, A331. Yeah, you just passed it. Yeah, here, please, thank you. So for instance, here, this window, let me find my pen again. This is not, and this is not extended on that overhang, if that was, so the question is that intended as a sunshade for certain rooms? What's behind these windows that are not being covered? And at the same time, this is the same exposure as that. So what is the logic for where you have canopies versus not?
I think that there was intent for accentuate the corner a little bit more and not to have too big an element that appear to be too large. So we try to break down the meshing, break down the elements to the smaller component. That's a design intent, but I get a point, especially on the west side, we might want to incorporate even a smaller canopy can help. Yeah, maybe not continue, but add on smaller canopy for each one.
Yeah, this is western exposure, so until something else major gets built over here, all of these windows, this side will have lots of natural light, but also a lot of heat gain. So I'm just curious, like, if there's a logic to it, like, at least compositionally, like some of these that are covering pairs of windows, similar to San Antonio side, seems to have a compositional logic which kind of falls apart here. So curious what the intent is.
I didn't intend not to make the canopy too large and appear to be, to add to the bulk of the massing, but we can look into the heat gain for that. I think this is east side, so a little bit better, but we can still look into it.
Okay. And this side is north, right? So am I correct about that?
That's the north side.
Yeah.
That's a lake home.
Yeah. So if it was for sun shading, you actually wouldn't really use it on the north side quite as much, or not equally so. Any other questions for applicant or staff from anyone on the board?
Yeah, so I'm comparing the previous plan that we reviewed with this one, and I just want to make sure I understand it correctly. So the previous plan you submitted had 197 units, and this one has 228. Is that
correct?
Roughly right? And then the total square footage was 36,000 square feet, and now it's 42. So it's about 15% larger. And then, yeah. And is it true that most of that comes from additional amenity space? No. Oh, the amenity space actually went down. It went up from 13,000 square feet to about 15,000. Okay. Like, so I just wonder, like, where is the limit? Like, I think in the last meeting, maybe this is a question for staff, or I don't know, but I think one of the previous comments was this is already too big. And then you come back, work on it, and then you return with something even bigger. So like, I'm just like big, in big scheme, like we have another meeting and it's gonna be even bigger. I mean, I understand it's a builder's remedy, like, kind of what is the limit here?
Yeah, I mean, it is allowed under builder's remedy, but you have the right to provide your comments on that.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
I'm trying to find oh, here we are. Because the development standard that applies to this site is the El Camino Real focus area, right, which is, it's cut off on the top of package page 60, but the allowable height on El Camino focus area is 85 feet, and this project is 84 and change, which the number is hidden on our packet page. So I guess to answer Martin's question, that is the limit, right? The previously submitted seven-story was below 85, and in this revision, they've come back with just hair under 85, so still within focus area development standard. Is that correct, Christina?
You could request a waiver.
There are a lot of waivers right here. I guess that's a good question, though. Are they allowed to ask for, I forget if it would be a waiver or concession, to build it higher than 85, if that was to be the case?
They could. I believe it might push them into another level of construction if they did that. So I don't know that there's an interest on their end to do that, but I believe that they would be allowed to asked for a, under builder's remedy, proposed this and asked for a waiver related to that.
I'd like to add something to this discussion, because I noted that on the zoning, it was stated that it was in FAR 4. And I think that in planning's description, it was a less than 4. And the focus area, FAR 4, is what is used. So I think it kind of conforms to the decisions made for the focus area.
Right, so the project was analyzed in comparison to the El Camino Real focus area, which is what we are required to apply to this site under AB 1893.
So is because in your revision, your level 3 has garage on the interior and then residential on the exterior perimeter. So is this concrete podium construction with 5 levels on top?
Correct.
So that the units on that 3rd floor would be concrete construction?
Correct.
All right. Any other questions for the applicant? All right, then thank you. We will move on to internal discussion. Does anybody want to start?
Are there any outside speakers on this?
We asked already, there weren't any.
There weren't any?
Yeah. Who wants to start on any comments?
All right, I'll go. Stand up. To the applicant, thank you. We desperately need housing in Palo Alto. We're looking to move things forward. I think this is a very wise use of this space. I'm actually very fond of the 2-unit access points, the one that's for sort of the main ground level and then the sort of side entry. I think that's actually a very clever way to get residential parking off of San Antonio. We, of course, always have concerns about Waymo and Amazon and things like that, and I think just designating spots right at the entrance off of San Antonio, nice, clearly marked, very visible, painted bright yellow or whatever it needs to be, I think helps a lot. Excuse me, not Waymo, but like DoorDash, Amazon deliveries, things like that. Because with a unit type that has over 200, remind me again the final number, 228. I mean, that's a lot of DoorDash cars and a lot of DoorDash deliveries and a lot of Amazon deliveries. So that's one of those that we always want to make sure is considered. Also, the trash is always an item, and you guys have thought about that quite well. Very pleased to see that that's moved forward. I think overall the design is nice. It's very much in alignment with everything that's going on San Antonio. I think it'll be another beautiful addition to the row of San Antonio. I think you guys got a little bit lucky here in regards that the shape of the lot really makes it so your front facade on San Antonio is not so imposing, right? But you get a lot of that structure on the backside where it's just the visibility is not going to be that much of an issue. So I think it actually creates a quite proportional and beautiful front facade along San Antonio, so well done with that. I also would like to say that I appreciate your 10-foot setbacks. I mean, everybody's trying to max these things out, getting it edge to edge, and it's just very, very difficult when we talk about life, safety, air, sunshine, fire, all of that, and just giving that 10-foot buffer creates such a world of difference. So I really, really want to thank you for taking that sort of sacrifice and making sure that you've got those setbacks maintained around the entire perimeter. And then utilizing one of them as a dog run is quite lovely. I'm also pleased with your landscape plans. I think that those are nice, and I like having them at different levels. I think that's a really nice feature, so that when you're on the 8th floor and you're so far from that 4th floor deck, you can just sort of run out to your little sky yard on the side if you just want a little sunshine and to work outside for the day. And on that note, the work from home lobby I think is brilliant. I think that we're going to see quite a few more of those in the future, and I think that that's just a really nice feature to have for your tenants. So other than that, I don't have a lot of comments. I think it's a well-done project, and it'll fit in quite nicely along that new San Antonio stretch. So thank you.
David or Martin, any thoughts?
once again. I didn't do it.
Okay, can you hear us now?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I agree entirely with the positive statements made previous member. A few thoughts here. I think you should consider locations, or maybe you have, and you can answer the question, for maintenance trucks. Do you have spaces for them within the garage so that they'll be able to pull in somewhere? Because eventually you'll need them. So I'll just leave that with you to consider that. Also, again, on that sort of similar issue, it would be nice if you provided handicap parking very close to probably the rear elevator, so that they had access to the center of the building that way and could get into their units. I wonder if it's really necessary to have the fire control room right up in the front where the lobby is. Recognize that most of the people coming and going from this building will be by car, and but in a way, it's sort of, what is that doing? And almost right there in the front, could it move across the way to the other side, further north? But consider that. Maybe it's okay to have a passageway through. But it makes a more exciting kind of entry to the elevator lobby to have a little more space there. Just consider that if it works for you. I mean, I would just want to say that for me, the amount of public use spaces in this building is just terrific. The proportion really works nicely for a big building like this. So it's going to become a kind of a community building just because of the aspect of the amount of public spaces. And I would hope that in the future, on projects like this, that the amount and consideration that you've used for all of the public use spaces is really excellent. I'm just concerned about the ramp connections from the lower parking to the next level and whether they're really working. You have people cars potentially backing out into that direction. And I'm just concerned that you make sure that that really works well for safety's sake. I think that dividing up the bike parking areas is a really terrific solution, and getting them out the side yard is a good way to treat all of the bike traffic or on Leghorn. I mean, yes, I double agree with my board members that the facade is really going to be a really wonderful facade. And hopefully sort of almost sets a standard for the articulation of the detail on San Antonio Road. Openness, the glassiness of it, and the scale of everything is really, really terrific for San Antonio Road. And the choice of materials, which you showed us today, also is well considered. The fact that the pool area, the largest of the public areas, is facing in that direction and is going to be open to, we've seen other projects in which the pool is kind of internal and it won't get as much sunshine. This one is terrific for its location. So your conceptual planning in the beginning was very, very thoughtful. I think that the open-ended questions are the questions of what to do on San Antonio, and that really is it's in this. I just get this mic. I don't know if you can hear. Once again, it's okay. The Waymo issue, the front of the building issue, really is a city issue that they have to come back to you with. If there's absolutely no parking, no possibility of a Waymo sort of being a pickup spot in front of this building, I think it's going to be unfortunate, that it doesn't work. Somehow or other, you have already access to the front of the building, and it seems to me that with the amount of length of this site facing San Antonio, there ought to be some way in which you could make pickup parking work. But it's a coordination with the city and what's done in the front of the building. Another project had a lay-by within the 25-foot setback. And it seems like that might be a possibility, or if there's no parking, to create a lay-by lane of some sort where the parking would work. Now, I admit it kind of interferes with the bike paths and et cetera, but it has to be worked out with San Antonio Road and the scheme for San Antonio Road. Hope planning can catch up on this one so that this front of the building is worked out so that that's a solved solution. Otherwise, I just want to congratulate you on a really terrific project and looking forward to getting in the ground and getting it up.
Yeah, I would like to echo with what the other board members had said. My question, before was more like a surprise. It was not a critique in a sense, but I looked at this table, and ARB comment and applicant respond. I thought these are the main changes, but for me the main change was an increase of the house by the building by almost 20%. So I think that would have been just kind of nice to communicate by either the applicant or staff. I think it's kind of an important information. But I think it's I think it's great to have this kind of a building on San Antonio. Like for me, San Antonio is like the new Palo Alto. Like there's old Palo Alto here, and that's like the new Palo Alto where it's close to the highway. There's good access, and I think to have these kinds of developments there is really good. And you found a way to maximize it, maximize the square footage, and I think like the way you did the seventh floor kind of open area. I think seventh, and then you have like another floor above. I think that's really nice. Like that gives the building, like has like a stepped facade. I think that's very nice. I think it would be much worse if that outdoor area was on the 8th floor, and then on San Antonio we would have such a high facade. So I think that's really positive. So you try to step it down. I think it's also nice to have multiple outdoor areas, and it looks like from the plan that all those areas are open to the public, to all of the residents. So I think it's really nice to be able to distribute, these many people across three main outdoor areas. I really appreciate that you met with the fellow board member, and it seems like you had a terrific collaborative session. So, I mean, I don't really want to say anything negative about this because, I mean, you don't have to meet with the board member. You did, and you did, you did what he asked you. So, like, who am I to tell you no? It's not good. So, I think you went out of your way to to create a great project, and I really appreciate it. And thank you, David, for taking the effort. And I think you made a big difference. Yeah, I think you created that drop-off area on the first floor in the garage. I mean, it's just kind of like a personal, feedback at this point. But I think it's going to be really hard to use because it's very hard to turn around. As well, it's not. So I don't think that's a good, drop-off for anybody. I think the drop-off is like one of you said. It's going to be on Leghorn Street. So that drop-off area on the first floor, it's going to be utilized only by people who don't know that Leghorn is better. But I think you just have to figure out somehow with traffic management. Hopefully there will not be too many accidents, or there will be a lot of people backing up. So maybe you can put mirrors, or I don't know what traffic management solutions to ensure it's safe. And then because the building is so big and is now even bigger, I think the drop-off area on Leghorn might be a challenge. I'm not sure you have enough space there. But you'll deal with the consequences somehow. I hope the delivery drivers are not going to get too many traffic tickets. But yeah, I think overall, this is a really nice project. It's pretty. Your materials are beautiful. The facade is balanced. I think I think you are also not negatively affecting the neighboring properties. I'm always thinking about that oil change business. They're like, that's probably a different owner. I don't know, you probably don't, so that person will come back to this, to this board probably in a couple of years trying to build something. And it's kind of a small lot compared to yours, but I think because of the setback, that you have, there is an opportunity for him or her to do something too. So I think that's important as well. So, yeah, so overall, this is a very good project. Congratulations.
Thank you, Martin. So, yeah, thank you to the applicant for this project. Yes, builder's remedies are hard, but I think you've done a really nice job with the composition, the design. I hope in your final, as you go through construction documents and all, you're able to maintain this overall look. I'm slightly, I like the screen that becomes a trellis at the roof, but hopefully the structure for it won't be so heavy that it kind of takes away from the lightness of that, what you have in the image. As other board members have said, the amenities that you've provided in this building looks quite good. And my only concern, like we've already said, is not having any unit plans to really understand. I assume laundries are within the units, since I don't see any like shared laundry areas. And the roof, the pool deck level is quite lovely, and I hope you can get a good sized pool with the depth that families can really enjoy. I also appreciate all of the window proportions on all the elevations. They look quite large, and these are some of the units are quite small, so having that access to natural light and views are really important. I think the sill heights are low enough that you can really experience the outdoors out of those windows. So I definitely appreciate that. yeah, overall a nice project and obviously very needed housing, so thank you. So with that, do we have a motion for this project? Anyone?
Can I move it? I'd like to move the acceptance of this project from our board.
I'll second.
Can we have a vote, please?
Board Member Jojarth?
Yes.
Board Member Hirsch?
Yes.
Vice Chair Rosenberg?
Yes.
Chair Adcock?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is approval of minutes. Does anybody have any comments on this, the minutes from May 7th?
I just would like to note for the record on May 7th, Board Member Jojarth was absent.
I move to approve the minutes as written.
Second?
Board Member Hirsch?
Yes.
Board Member Jojarth?
I abstain.
Vice Chair Chan? Oh, sorry, Vice Chair Rosenberg?
Yes.
Chair Adcock?
Yes.
Motion carries 301.
All right, next on our agenda is any board questions, comments, announcements. On that, I would like to confirm we are canceled for next time, correct?
Yes.
And I'm also going to be absent on July 2nd, so Vice Chair Rosenberg will be leading that meeting.
And I will be happily sitting in your stead. I will be jet lagged, just fair warning.
All right.
All right. Next on our, if we don't have any other comments, we'll go on to our next agenda item, which is any virtual comments. Do we have any requests to speak?
We do not have any requests to speak at this time.
All right, thank you. I think with that, we shall adjourn. Thank you.